That was the funny thing ever.
This thing on? All right, we got 7. 7 and 4 children. 3 dogs and a giant turtle walking around somewhere. So, this is what I call a captive audience. We had some hamburgers. Keep eating, keep eating. So, we all enjoy visits to the beach, right?
Yes, we
And when we're there, we've noticed a lot of litter on the beach as well, correct?
That's why the schools do cleanups.
All right, hold all comments. So have you ever wondered what happens to the litter once it makes its way into the sea? Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that today and what we can do about it. So, has anyone heard of floating garbage patches?
Yes.
Floating what?
Floating garbage patches. Who said yes? All right, I'll be keeping my eye on you. We're going to talk about that right now. So they are giant concentrations of marine debris, and that's known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and the Atlantic Garbage Patch. And what it is the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans have huge clockwise current systems called gyres, and debris naturally collects in the calm waters in the center of the gyre. And we're going to take a look at what it looks like. Maria, can you come in and check this out? This is the Pacific, and you can see the current going around there. Now this red is these great garbage patches, the floating garbage patches we're talking about. This happens to be the Pacific, so that's the eastern garbage patch, and that's the western garbage patch near California.
It just collects naturally in that.
That's correct. And it's because the circular motion brings it around, and then the waters in the middle are calm, and it just kind of collects there.
Okay.
And now here we have the Atlantic, and the same thing. There's the current, and you have the collection of the garbage. The red is where it's most concentrated. So you see, there's these giant. That's exactly correct. We've got these giant plastic garbage patches floating around out there. So, according to NationalGeographic.org, in its Great Pacific Garbage Patch page, 80% of the debris is from land-based human activity, and the other 20% is from marine activity, such as fishing and marine travel and such. And the Atlantic garbage patch is huge and growing, but it's smaller than than its Pacific counterpart at the moment. The Pacific garbage patch is roughly the size of Texas. The one that's
pretty big.
Exactly. It is massive. And
how deep is it?
That's a good question. It's not only floating right on top of the water, but plastics get broken down, and they can be as much as 2 or 3 meters within the column. So it really makes it impossible to really figure out how big this problem is in terms of the volume of plastics out there. But what we can tell you is once plastic makes its way into the ocean, it's there to stay. And that's because the plastics don't biodegrade, because the bacteria that'll degrade normal organic materials just will bypass plastic. It won't feed on plastic. So there's nothing really to break it down, and except for a few natural forces that we'll go into. So in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Making Waves podcast, Diana Parker, who works with the NOAA's Marine Debris Program, agrees that plastic never goes away. She explains that heat, wave action, and the salinity of the water break down plastics repeatedly and just makes them smaller and smaller, but they're not going away. And she describes vast areas of ocean that resemble peppery soup. And the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is so immense that 67 ships working for a year wouldn't even collect 1% of the debris of that garbage patch. So collecting it isn't really practical. and it's going to.
Isn't that why we're supposed to be recycling and not plastics?
Exactly, and we're going to get to that in a moment. And NationalGeographic.org, on its Great Pacific Garbage Patch information page, estimates that there are 2 million plastic bits per square mile in the East Pacific Garbage Patch near Asia. 2 million bits per square mile. And the plastics have a very damaging effect on marine life. Marine animals often get caught in debris, and there's disastrous results.
Like the six-pack for the can.
6-pack like that?
Yeah.
Look what it did to this turtle.
Yeah,
Oh.
we always cut ours.
We're sharing a brain, you and I, right here. 6-pack, you see that? And then,
That's what they're trying to do, follow this whale around now. They're just carrying and pulling all this trash.
everybody see that? There's a fish caught in a 6-pack, and as you can see, he's getting literally sliced in half. And those 6-packs, they say those hang around for maybe 500 years. And here we have some fishing nets. This fishing net is embedded in a seal, and you can see it's cutting into his neck. Looks like it's cut in there about an inch or two, and it just gives these animals excruciating deaths, is how that ends up. This seal was lucky he got rescued. So, in the book Oceanography, An Invitation to Marine Science, authors Tom Garrison and Robert Ellis report that often plastics are mistaken for food by marine albatrosses and other marine animals, and they consume it and even feed it to the young. And I'll show you right here what the worst is. Right here, little caps on top of those, on top of the plastic bottles. Those caps are mistaken for food. And Garrison and Ellis cite estimates of 40% of the albatross dying on the Midway Atoll by having their digestive systems blocked with those plastics. I'm going to show you a visual of that because they've. Here you see the carcass of an albatross. There you see the caps that we just talked about right there. You see that? And have a look at that one. Here's another one. Got a lighter in there. Several other pieces of plastic in various forms. So we're talking about 250,000 of these albatrosses dying per year like that, and slow deaths. So and one other toll that it takes is the plastic debris also blocks sunlight. And here's what it looks like in the ocean. All the debris floating there. Now that's blocking sunlight, which the plankton needs to complete the photosynthesis process. So less plankton producing photosynthesis means less food in the food web, and it has reverberations up and down the whole food chain.
Wouldn't it also have to do with the reefs too? Because if they can't get sunlight, they'll kill the coral too.
It could make it could have effects on the coral as well. Warmer temperatures cause coral to have a bleaching effect, in which they expel their the algae systems that they have there, and that causes them to die. So, Garrison and Ellis report a 7 to 9% drop in phytoplankton activity in garbage patch areas over the last 25 years, and researchers at Canada's Dalhousie University have calculated a 40% drop in phytoplankton biomass in 8 of the 10 largest oceans since 1950. So what can be done? NOAA's Diana Parker says it can be solved because the cause is humans. And the key, she says, is changing our daily habits. Like you touched on, recycling, reusing products like these bottles. Instead of drinking a bottle of water and throwing it out, just reuse it. Generating less waste and just simply not littering. And the next time you visit the beach, You can even bring a bag, and as you're walking on the beach and look down and you see some debris, especially plastic, you pick it up, because once that plastic makes its way into the sea, it's a mathematical certainty it's going to end up out there floating in the garbage patch for possibly centuries, and we really don't know what an impact it's going to have in the environment. So I'm going to end this little information talk we had on the star thrower story. And this is written by a man named Loren Eiseley, and he was a science educator, teacher, and philosopher. A man was walking on the beach one day and noticed a boy who was reaching down, picking up a starfish and throwing it into an ocean. This is right after a storm, and the beach is littered with starfish. As he approached, the man called out, "Hello, what are you doing?" And the boy looked up and said, "I'm throwing starfish into the ocean." The man said, "Why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" And the boy replied, "The tide stranded them. If I don't throw them back into the water before the sun comes up, the tide goes out, they're going to die." And the man said, "Surely you realize there are miles of beach and thousands of starfish. You'll never throw them all back. There are too many. You can't possibly make a difference." And the boy listened politely, then picked up another starfish, and as he threw it back into the sea, he said, "It made a difference to that one." Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.